What is up, everybody? We are back for week 2 of what I am now calling Picking Winners. I hope that's not already a betting show out there, but back with Bert to talk through NFL slate for week 4, pick the games against the spread. Going to start reviewing how last week went and then jump into the games. But first, Bert, how are you doing tonight?
I just want to say, if there's a trademark on picking winners, we're not accepting that cease and desist, because that is the most basic name there is. So working title.
working title.
But I like it. We're working through the what we're going to put on the t-shirts. So thank you for everybody that interacted with us last week. And we're just hoping to build more and more this week and make you guys some money, because that's our job here.
We both had winners last week. I mean, first off, I got to start the show with a couple pats on my back. First of all, why are we doing this show on Tuesday and not Wednesday like usual? Well, because a hurricane is a-coming, and I am legitimately in the eye of the storm. But that will not stop me from picking winners for the people. Let me pull up the local radar.
By the way, this hurricane is so bad that people are talking about it where I live, and I live inland North Carolina. So there were people like saying, hey, maybe work is going to slow down a little bit. So we'll see.
Well, so I live in St. Pete area, and this is, roughly showing you people out there what the hurricane is doing. It's supposedly going to be a Category 3, and why it's kind of a big deal for where I live is
go ahead and share your location in the chat.
This area has not been hit for 100 years, and so like none of these houses are prepped for hurricanes. Like a bunch of them are wood. Obviously, a bunch are on the ocean or the river, but I'm gonna be okay. I got a bunch of beer. I got some friends that are in flood zones that are going to be holding out at my place. Gonna have a hurricane party. Obviously, hope that everyone's okay out there, but spent the day prepping the house, put up the hurricane shutters. So
So we could refer to this as a 100-year storm where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. So let's run through real quick the records from last week, and then we'll talk through the games. And then we'll jump into picking some more winners. So I started off with a bang on Thursday Night Football, 1-0. Bert and I both lost on the Chiefs. Bert got there on the Dolphins over the Bills, -6 or +6. He won straight up, though. I got there on the next 4 games with something I noticed is we were unified on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Of those 7, hey, we were 5-7 on the unified games. So when we bet together, pretty good bets in my opinion. So we both got there on the Bengals -5 against the Jets. That seemed obvious.
5-2, not 5-7.
5-2 is what I meant. 5 out of 7. We both got there on Baltimore -2.5 over New England. We both got there on Lions +6 versus Minnesota. We both lost. Man, these Raiders. We'll have to talk about them. Raiders -2.
Worst team in the league.
I wouldn't go there, but Bert got there on the Panthers over the Saints. We got our first push of the show with Houston +3 and Chicago -3. You could say we're unison there. We both pushed. Bert got there on Jacksonville +7. I didn't realize on the Wednesday show that like Herbert was a question even play. That line moved big by the time the game was going to start.
What was the line at game time?
3.5.
Okay.
Because Herbert was questionable.
Well, I mean, so that's actually, I got tremendous value. That means, so yeah.
Yeah. I got there on Green Bay +1.5 over Tampa. We both got there on Rams -3.5. I got there on Atlanta +1.5. I got there on Denver +1.5. And we both got there on Dallas. So let me just pull up the week 4. And how about we just talk through the games real quick? We'll keep this short so we can before we jump into the next games. But Any games that stuck out to you, Bert? Maybe we just talk about a couple of the ones we thought were notable.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the most interesting ones are, I mean, obviously the ones I find the most interesting are the ones that we're fans of, but I also think that those were kind of the biggest stories in the NFL as well. I'll start with the Patriots and the Ravens. You look at Mac Jones going out in that game. It looks like he's not going to play for, they're saying, at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, high ankle sprain could be real tricky.
And then what's crazy that's also coming out in these news reports is that New England is estimating a 4-week timetable, and Mac Jones is saying maybe 6 to 8 weeks. They're kind of, and are we maybe seeing kind of the this is really early to say this, but is that relationship devolving into him maybe getting out of there? Because he had a very awkward sequence where he was very frustrated on the sideline. There's been a lot of discontent coming out of camp with him this year. So just something to keep an eye on for us.
That's early for that. I mean, that team.
I said it was early, but it's interesting that
they're overachieving, in my opinion. That's probably good coaching, but I don't know. Some of the games that stuck out to me.
Definitely not good coaching on the offense, but
the Chiefs losing to the Colts, that was shocking.
Oh yeah, but they also lost on a job call, the Chris Jones penalty.
Yes, there was definitely a call that went their way, but even for this game to be close, I mean, I guess the lesson there is just like the Chiefs' offense is not fully what we thought it was. The Jaguars stomping the Chargers.
That's the surprise of the week, right?
They seem very real. The Titans beating the Raiders, but they got out to a big lead and kind of got chased down. I thought that was pretty shocking. The Packers winning a close one, that's not that notable. The other, like the Browns stomping the Steelers, a little notable. This Browns team's a lot better than people give it credit for.
It wasn't a stomping. They scored on a defensive touchdown
at the end. Yes.
At the end. So they really only won by 4?
But they have one of my lessons is when you have one of the best O lines in sports, and with them having good coach play, they're gonna win a lot of more games than we thought they would probably.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the backup, I think it's fair to say they probably had the better QB because Jacoby Brissett has been a starter. And
I mean, what the hell are the Steelers doing? They got to put Pickett in there, right?
I think sometimes teams tell you who it is that they believe in, and it's really easy as fans to say, "Hey," but Mike Tomlin is one of the longest tenured coaches in the league. I think he's an underachiever myself, but I think he also is a great talent identification. Same with their GM. How they have figured it out at wide receiver for these past 10 years, just finding guys in the later rounds. But I think they're telling you that they don't think Pickett is ready, and that's probably true.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. The Steelers, what I remember from that game is they were playing to lose by the least than they were to playing to win to me. They did that punt at the end of the game. They did some real cowardly shit, in my opinion.
I feel like they really gave Mitch the keys to the offense in that game, and he started pretty well in the first half, but
he's not the answer. It's just what we're.
Oh yeah, he's not, but he was making some throws at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They got stopped there. So, all right, I think we are good to jump into today.
Well, I mean, just two other things.
Go ahead.
Funny notes. The Broncos 49ers game, crazy that Jimmy G just ran out of bounds. That was, absurd. I think the Broncos still cover anyway, even if you take those 2 points away. And then also just the whole thing in Seattle where the game got shut down for a drone being on the field. And in the middle of, there were some funky things going on in Seattle too. If you watched the Buccaneers-Packers game,
I saw some of that, yeah.
Yeah, so Brady is on the 2-yard line on 4th down, and the game just cut to a random camera of
Seahawks?
Seattle stadium, which was getting cleared out because the game was over. And then so red zone, then like flash it to the next Fox, and all the Fox had just accidentally like swiped their cameras to like some random on the most important play of the game. Not it's kind of a gaffe by Fox there. Just a couple little storylines there that I thought were pretty interesting. And
this Bills Dolphins game, I'm not worried about Buffalo at all. I mean, unfortunate that the Bills, you would like to see, I guess, Isaiah McKenzie go right down at the end of the game. They didn't get the field goal attempt there. They got the big safety there.
Yeah, that was the Ken Dorsey meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, that is laughable to me. Anyone who's talking about...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's obviously like out there on this apology tour for the children, I guess. I mean, these are men that are like put their entire life and soul into this thing. I do not put any into him like losing, like shattering computer over that.
The loss was annoying because that game had this go wrong for Buffalo. It had them not get the field goal at the end because they had a new center that game. And so the box snap was a big theme. Like they didn't get a field goal off at halftime when they're trying to spike the ball because they bobbled the snap. They missed the field goal. They couldn't get out of bounds to get another field goal. Gabe Davis dropped a touchdown. Like everything went wrong, but I like to see the passion from my coaches. Like
I think the Bills are still the best team in the NFL. I know that the Dolphins are like now 1 in the power rankings on ESPN, which you can't put anything into that. But what I will say is
the Dolphins are a good team, by the way. I think they're good.
No, I think the Dolphins are great too. I don't think they're better than the Bills.
No.
But what I will say is that GIF that came out of Josh resting his head on Tua's shoulders, that's really unfortunate that's going to get like tweeted every time they play now. And then
I don't know what GIF that is.
Oh, you haven't seen that? It's like they're shaking hands and Josh just like collapses into Tua's arms. Like it's a tough one.
I think this is some like corner of the internet you find as a Patriots fan to make you feel better about the Brian Hoyer.
I don't know, man. I think it was pretty well shared. But I mean, I'll send it to you after. I didn't know you hadn't seen it. And then I do think there is. I'm going to say a couple things you don't want to hear here, but
go for it. Our records speak for themselves.
I do think there is something to say, and I don't think I think the Bills are going to figure it out. And these numbers that I saw are not necessarily like truly indicative because they really won that Chiefs divisional round last year. But there's some there's some stuff about Josh throwing the ball more than like 45 times. He's like 1-7, and then in games that are decided by 8 points, they struggle to win there. I think they're like 0-6 in the past year and a half or something like that. But
that's just like a variance.
I don't think they're gonna figure it out. And like I said, like when I watched him in the divisional round last year, like he does not have like that Tony Romo thing that like he can't get it done. Like he got it done, and that was just kind of a crazy fluky game. And I still believe that he could do that again.
Well, I mean, we also have to remember that game was so hot that everyone was cramping, and I think you just need to realize that the NFL is really inherently chaotic game, and so like any day, these stats like are eye rolling to me. It's like, oh, the 1-score games, like what is that supposed to even mean?
Who do you think it's worse for though in a hot game? If you have 90 plays on offense versus 90 plays on defense, I feel like most teams a hot game 90 plays on offense.
I would say the team that the other thing that, and I don't know how this like the Dolphins get away with this is they have probably the number 1 home advantage in the NFL in early September.
No way. It's got to be Denver.
No, because
early September,
early September games, because the whole visiting sideline is in the sun, and they keep the home sideline in the shade, and so like
but if you
visiting sideline is like notably hotter. Anyways,
we're getting too far into the weeds on that game, so
that closes up that week. We both have a winning record. You bet 100 units on us. I guess you would say. What was I up 5 units? 5.
That's right. That's right.
5 wins. You were up 1. So we're picking winners here. All right, on to Thursday Night Football. I'll let you start us off here. We have Dolphins +4 against the Bengals in kind of a surprising game. These quick turnaround Thursday games are always usually lower scoring than people think. Go ahead, Bert. What are your thoughts and who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a tough one. There's a little bit of I don't know if Tua is completely cleared for
Yeah, I mean, for people who missed
for his
it,
back injury.
his back injury, aka dude got his bell rung and was like concussed walking. And so I'm wondering if that's baked into this line as well.
But I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't play. It seems like they haven't figured out. There's an investigation that's but I think he's gonna play in this game. Really, the only thing that I keep seeing all these pictures of Cincinnati and these like amazing looking white tiger uniforms that look like they're like going to be in like a Vegas show.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that makes me want to take Cincinnati. So I do kind of have to go with Miami because I think that they're hot and I like them at +4. And I think that they'll have I could see Cincinnati winning, but they've struggled to get it going. Even they were my lock of the week last week, and they still beat the Jets, but it wasn't like in the most convincing fashion.
So here's what I'll say about this game is teams are defending against the Bengals differently this year, where they weren't like really seeing the cover too much, and now they're seeing that, and so they're having to like learn how to settle for the shorter passes. I think this line is bad if both these teams are healthy because I think the Dolphins have a good coach. I think the Bengals have actually kind of a bad coach. I'm not impressed with their coaching.
Went to a Super Bowl.
And I understand that, but I think Miami +4 is an easy bet. That being said, the Bengals really do need a win. And they I do not like betting against the white uniforms. That
I know that's why it's in my.
But doesn't that seem like something that like the public would really?
I know, but it's like,
and so you're getting a better line because
Joe Burrow is the coolest quarterback in the league.
Dude, the white jerseys, like
the coolest QB, and the coolest uniform in the league. It's kind of like I'm taking Miami here, but if they come out and like blow doors, I'm also going to be like, that was just such a bad pick that I should have known Joe Burrow in these.
Well, and the other thing will be like if Tua actually does have some residual concussion effects, and it's like he is because the Dolphins' offense didn't do anything against the Bills. I still think they're good.
Yeah,
and I mean, I don't know. The Bengals should kind of be like caged dogs here, and the Dolphins should kind of feel like they stole a win, like they can give one up. But the Bengals, like they really need a win. All right, moving on. This is one of the games that I think is also one of the toughest ones for me. I feel real confident about this slate and who I like in most of these games, but this is one of the tougher ones for me. Minnesota Vikings against the Saints. If the Saints were healthy and primarily Jameis was healthy, I think I would slam dunk tank the points at home. I don't know, man. These Vikings, like they have good pieces. They got Dalvin Cook going a little bit last week. The Saints are unlocking their wide receiver and their wide receivers. Olave's getting going. Michael Thomas is getting going. What's up, Austin? Austin in the background there. Bert's dog.
He's just gonna cry into the
we like animals on the show, so I think I'm gonna roll. The Saints hurt me last week, and if Jameis is unhealthy, he could just get fucking rolled again. But I'm gonna take the Saints at home with the points. Bert.
So I mean, I watched the Patriots game at a restaurant the other day, which is actually a crazy story.
Dedication right there.
What'd you say?
Dedication.
Yeah, well, and then like I found out on Monday that somebody had jumped the curb in their car and like gone crazy. Like it's crazy, man.
At the bar.
Yeah, but my wife and son and I were gone, luckily, like 4 hours prior. But it's just like kind of one of those like, oh, I guess we're never going out in public moments. Again, that's a tangent. But because I am in North Carolina, a lot of Panthers fans, that was the primary game. They had the audio, and New Orleans, man, they've got some issues. And James,
yeah, I already don't feel great about my pick, but
I think Minnesota is one of those teams that everybody's kind of talking about. Justin Jefferson kind of going in the bag, not necessarily like showing up in the games. this seems like a get right game for them. Even though they won last week, it wasn't. And they were kind of lucky to get out of there with that one. I think they come and probably blow doors here. So I like Minnesota -3.
I could definitely see that. Like this again, this is a kind of a coin flip game for me. But I'm a hope. Oh, and is this a London game?
Yes, it is. It's a 9:30 kickoff.
Oh, whoa! I didn't know that. That changes nothing for me. I could see the Saints rolling in London. The Saints come marching in to London.
Yeah, it's the Saints.
Jacksonville versus Philly. How about you start us off there, Bert?
Oh God, this is a tough one because Philly is looking like they might be one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league. And they're going to win a lot of games just based on their schedule. If you kind of look out into it, that division as well. I mean, it doesn't look like there's a lot.
They have like the easiest schedule in the NFL. Like there's not a single team that I'm like, oh, I don't think they're going to win this week.
So Philly looks like they're rolling, but Jacksonville.
Bet the 12-game parlay of the Eagles of just winning straight.
Yeah. They came in just looking like a completely new team. Urban Meyer obviously really did a number on them. Doug Peterson, maybe a good coach. Maybe this is a revenge game.
The scene where Urban Meyer's friend is like ripping a bong.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer is like on the boat.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen that at home,
he's like, no.
Yeah. Urban Meyer's like getting interviewed. He's like, no. If you haven't seen that at home, look that up on YouTube. It is hilarious.
So I mean, this is another one of those games. If Philly comes out and wins by 10, I won't be surprised. But I think I have to ride with Jacksonville. Doug Peterson revenge game.
Revenge game narrative, man.
I like Jacksonville to kind of keep it close because Philly hasn't really had a team challenge them this year, with the exception that Lions game was close, but not really. They kind of had some like garbage time touchdowns that just made it seem a little bit closer than it really was.
So here's what I'll say about this game is I do think the Eagles are probably closing in on to be the favorites to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They have an elite offense buoyed by A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts is unleashed with A.J. Brown there. And then their defense is lights out, man. They traded for Bradbury from the Giants before the season started. They already had a Slay. They have one of the top O-lines in the league. They have good D-line. They drafted Nakobe Dean, that good linebacker.
I love Nakobe Dean. Yeah,
I know you do. So it's like they're really good, but this Jaguars team, we have to stop thinking about them as like lovable loser Jaguars. This Jaguars team is good, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball, keep drives going with like Kirk over the middle,
totally.
And Ingram. So like I think I'm gonna like this one again is gonna feel like if we look back and Eagles roll them, it's like okay, I guess they're just that much better. But I also am gonna take Jaguars plus 6.5. This line just feels like it's gonna get bet down to me, and definitely a game that I'd want to take early. Like I'm not gonna be surprised if this closes at like plus 5 or something. Moving on to Buffalo versus Ravens, and I think this is one of my favorite lines of the week. I know I'm a Bills fan, but this is one of the rare circumstances where you have the best team in the NFL, in my opinion, coming off a loss. Who, again, if you understand the context of that Bills-Dolphins game where they played in a heat wave, so everyone was cramping. Like Stephon Diggs was in and out the field. Gabriel Davis was in and out the field. Josh Allen's hand cramped. I think the Bills are a much better team than the Ravens. The Ravens are good. Like Lamar is elite. I love a Lamar. I think, Mark Andrews is really good. I think he can do some work, but the Bills have historically, Sean McDermott has designed a defense to stop Lamar at what he does best and really slow him down. The Bills should get back a bunch of their injured players, such as Jordan Poyer and hopefully Ed Oliver. And so I think the Bill, like this Ravens team just let up 320 yards passing to Mac Jones and the
their pass defense is awful.
Like, and they're like real bad, and they're facing one of the top
it's easy to fall into the trap of like they got those purple uniforms. We grew up with Baltimore being this amazing defense. It's very hard to say when their defense is bad. They're struggling.
They're injured. It's bad. I don't think they're gonna eat like they'll move the ball a little bit, but not sustain drive. So I got the Bills to win by I think this line is terrible -3. So Bills -3, very easy.
Look, the Bills are the perennial Super Bowl favorite for a reason. Like they are not going to be a team that drops 2 in a row. I would be shocked they drop 2 in a row all year. So yeah, I like them here too.
All right. So we're all on the same page on some of these early ones. Maybe we'll get a little different as we go. We don't talk about our picks before. Kick us off with Commanders +3 versus the Cowboys.
I don't know how you could take the Commanders here. I mean, at +3.
I don't either, man.
You have Dallas, who, yes, they have a backup, but people are saying that Dak is kind of maybe making his way back this week. The people were talking about that he might play last night. So I would not be surprised at all to see Dak on the field. I think this line is probably -3 because Vegas knows something we don't. He's probably not in. Cooper Rush is going to run out eventually, but Wentz is an easily confused quarterback, and this is the best pass rush. Maybe not the best pass rush in the NFL.
Second. It's the second best in the NFL after the Bills.
Yeah. But statistics aside, I mean, Micah Parsons is going to give this guy fits, and
Micah Parsons is probably the best defender at the NFL.
Yeah, dude,
he's just so smooth running, when has
there ever been a guy that's 2 years in? Also, that Myles Garrett car accident, prayers out to him. But we're talking about a guy that might be 1A, 1B with Aaron Donald in his second year in the league. That is a special guy. I really wanted the Patriots to take him the year that he got drafted. We took Mac. But
Trayvon, we got to get I kind of thought he was more of a gambler. He's good, man. He's real good.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he has he's an elite corner in my opinion. He kind of had that thing, right place, right time. Deron Harmon had it with the Patriots for a little bit, where it was like, oh, this guy's leading the league in interceptions, and then he has the well actually crowd, where it's like, oh, well actually, he just happens to get lucky. Yeah. But in reality, he's not going to have a season like he did last year, where it's like pick sixes all the time. But he's a great corner. So yeah, I love Dallas here. But
so my take on this game is. And my take on watching that game is Cooper Rush is good, man. Cooper Rush was I was kind of surprised. He was dropping in bombs to these wide receivers, and they were letting it donk off their hands. CeeDee Lamb dropped an 80-yard bomb. There was touchdowns dropped over the place. Carson Wentz is not a guy I want to bet on when he's facing a strong pass rush and a strong pass D, which we saw that against the Eagles. He could do nothing. Micah Parsons should be able to destroy Wentz's day. Now, I do like the Eagles against kind of worse defenses, but yeah, I think Dallas -3 feels very comfortable.
Well, yeah, one thing I'll say about Cooper Rush too, and we're both
Zeke and Pollard look really good. They just could move the ball at will.
Yeah, and I recommend watching the Manningcast for anybody that watches on Monday night. Because when they're on, I don't love the Mannings obviously, but they give better insight than anything you're going to get on the ESPN broadcast. And they were talking about how Cooper Rush, the fact that he was even allowed to make the changes at the line that he was, just kind of shows that Kellen Moore has that belief in him, and that he's clearly a guy that they kind of believe in. He's gonna end up getting a contract at some point.
Everyone was making the joke, oh no, Cooper Rush just played himself into being the Panthers 2023 quarterback.
Or Detroit. Yeah, he'll go to Detroit.
All right, moving on to Bears versus Giants. I think this one is me to kick it off. I am kind of surprised it's so close. Like, again, I think the Bears are not coached that well. I think I saw a stat that was it was like percent of plays that are turnover worthy, and it Dak is second in the league at like 6%, and Justin Fields is at like 10%, and like the gap, that's the same gap as like the difference between like first and like 24th. So like that's how much Justin Fields is like leading the league in turnover worthy plays. The Bears are going to try to run the ball. The Giants are going to try to run the ball. So it's hard for either team to like get out to a huge lead, but I'm going to take the coaching. I don't love that it's 3.5. Obviously, if you are betting these games, shop around, see if you can find a 3 to get that push. But I'm going to take the Giants at home. They just seem like a well-coached, better team. And the Bears, I do think, I think the Bears are the worst team in football right now.
Really? Oh, okay.
Who do you have as the worst team in football?
What'd you say?
Who do you have the worst team in football?
You
think it's the Seahawks? It's got to be the Bears or Seahawks, right?
Yeah, I kind of, the Raiders right now are our team.
We can't say the Raiders are the worst though. Like they have Devontae at you're right. They're just breaking wrong for them.
The Bears. Do you know that they have 23 completed passes all year? Now
they did play in that monsoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, granted, one of them's a weather game and one of them was a ground and pound Green Bay game. But 23 passes completed all year. And New York is a team that we know is willing, because Dayball knows that the team is supposed to be bad, is willing to go out there and pull out all the stops. And they're a team that I think is susceptible to all the stops. I think that, I don't think Eberflus is a bad coach. Or at least I can't decide that 3 games.
Maybe Fields is just so much worse than people think, and like this is just what.
Yeah, I don't know about Fields, but man, we are agreeing on a lot of picks.
You're taking Giants?
I like New York as well, man. Because it's just,
man, we're either going to get slaughtered this week or we are just smashing picks.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, let's move on since we're green. I'm sure there's going to be some we disagree here. Seahawks versus the Lions. Who do you like here, Bert?
Yeah, so Detroit has been a team that has kept it close at the end of games all year. I know Seattle is not that good right now, but Geno Smith, he kind of had them in it at the end. I like Seattle to keep it close, or at least some type of Detroit mess up. I don't think Seattle wins this game, but I could see them keeping it close. So I'm going to go Seattle plus 4.5.
I'm going to take the Lions minus 4.5. I think their offense without quarterback is one of the best in the league. I know they don't have DeAndre Swift, which will hurt, but they still have one of the best O-lines. And so I do think these Seahawks are a little bit more spunky than people give them credit for, but give me the Lions with their run game, just establishing the run, punching in a couple on the ground. Amon-Ra gets right. And I like the Lions here. So I'll take Lions minus 4.5. Moving on to the New York Jets, who should be starting Zach Wilson, I believe, versus the Pittsburgh Steelers with the Jets plus 3.5 on the road. No one knows what Zach Wilson is. A lot of people think that he's worse than Joe Flacco. We saw ugly Joe Flacco show his head last week. This Steelers team is not impressive. Najee is not looking that hot. Jaylen Warren looks explosive. Their backup running back. But I'm going to take the Jets plus 3.5 on the road. I like them to cover and potentially even win. Like if I was betting this game by itself, I'd probably bet Jets straight up. Who do you like, Bert?
Yeah, man. I mean, Zach Wilson, you hear that he is this like supreme talent. And even with kind of his weird year last year, it feels like they might have a good QB in there, at least better than Pittsburgh's.
I wouldn't go there, Joe, but
I mean, Pitt, they might have.
It's up there. But
Pitt,
their offense.
Well, maybe Pitt is the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, injury. You consider that their best defender is out. You consider that their best pass rusher is out.
TJ Watt's such a different maker.
Yeah, I know. It'd be like if you lost Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett. I mean, they're
Von Miller.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, Von Miller's great too.
Von Miller's changed that Bills D.
Yeah. No, I know. We've talked about this. That the Bills have what I think is the most important thing in an elite defense, which is getting pressure with 4, and that. But this isn't about the Bills. This is.
Yeah, I don't think they're the worst, but.
Well, Harrison Jones had Pittsburgh money line last week. Almost talked Liam into it himself.
Stuck with my Browns, man. Stuck with the Browns.
So just because he commented, I think I got to fade him, man, and I'm going to go to Jets too.
Were you thinking about taking the Steelers until then?
Well, it's the Jets, man. It's the Jets. So, but maybe they've got the AFC North figured out here.
All right, next we have Lovey Smith in the chat before we talk about Chargers.
You think that's actually him? Is that a blue check mark?
Chargers -4.5 versus Texans. Thank you for tuning in, Lovey. Hit the like and subscribe button if you guys are enjoying this free winner content. Bert, talk us through Chargers versus Texans.
God, man, Brandon Staley, I think he's an idiot. Like, and I know you like him because he has like the positive EV stuff, but you go back
pretty bad this year.
You go back to that Raiders game last year where it really didn't look like you could coach a game worse, and then you go back these last 2 losses that they've had. He has a wide receiver on the field who is saying, "I am gassed. I need to come out." He doesn't.
That was their tight end, Everett, I think.
Okay, well, whoever was running that route and is holding it is like hands on hip, asking for somebody to come in. He doesn't figure that out. Guy runs a nothing route, 99-yard pick, or 96-yard pick or whatever it was. Then last week, he's still throwing Justin Fields like down 21 or I mean, whatever that score was. That's a tough one. Because do we even know if Justin Fields is going to play or Justin Herbert?
We don't know if Justin Herbert's going to play.
I imagine he will.
He played last week, right?
And LA, yeah, no, he played last, but like he was continuing to go in, clearly hurt.
Yeah. This is where he's going to be hurt for several weeks.
Staley's decision making is just, but then Lovie Smith's like offense is never good either. So, God, I think I got to take LA here. I like just. Oh
yeah, I mean, I'm going to take Chargers minus the points too. I said before the season, I think they are the second best team in the league. They should have Keenan Allen back. I guess he's like the person who made their offense run. It's the Texans, man. They're bottom 3 in the NFL. Like, give me the Chargers to win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally playing Jeff Driscoll at QB.
But this team could – maybe this Chargers team's just a team who plays down. So I'll take the Chargers with you there as well. Okay, moving on to Titans +3.5 versus the Colts. These are 2 not good teams, in my opinion. I don't think these teams are that impressive. I don't think they're that good. I'm inclined. I kind of like Titans +3.5 because when it's 2 bad teams, taking the points seems good. And this Colts O-line, man, is not the same. The Titans beat an 0-3 Raiders team. They lost to a 2-1 Giants team. They got killed by the Bills. I was coming in this game thinking I was going to take the Colts, but the Titans finally letting Traylon Burks get a full set of work. I'm going to take the Titans, the feisty Titans on the road with the points to cover here. And I would bet them straight up if I was betting this game by itself.
No, and I hate how much we're agreeing, but it is Tennessee. They're a year removed from. I mean, from everything we've seen, that they believe that they're in their championship window. Probably with the exception of them trading AJ.
Oh, their window's gone. Their window's.
I don't
trade
think
AJ Brown. You're building for the future.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win either. But they have, they were the 1 seed in the AFC last year. And Indy's at home though.
I thought I was going to take Indy, and I talked myself into Titans as we were talking through it.
And I think I might have just talked myself into Indy because Indy's at home. Clearly, that home field thing worked for them last week with KC. Did you hear that they had the roof open and it was like blinding like players?
I did see something about that, like they were like cheating.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's cheap. It's just like how their stadium and when you see it on it's like it looks like a glass window pane with like sun shining through it. It is a very awkward.
Here, Bert, I'm gonna grab a refill here. So tell the people your.
Yeah, I'm going Indy. I'll keep talking through it. I'm going solo here. So I like Indy here. It does seem like they moved on from Matt Ryan. Maybe we were a little quick to judge Frank Reich, who looked like one of the bright coaching minds for a little bit, but then he had those 2 really disastrous games, but then goes and maybe not coaches a gem against KC. That seemed like they kind of won on a pretty lucky penalty there. But I do like Matt Ryan in that offense. Or as one of my best friends calls him, Matty Ice. We all call him Matty Ice, but he calls Matt Stafford Matty Ice. He does not call Matt Ryan Matty Ice. So
yeah, guys, sorry about that.
We're going Matty Ice, I think. The real Matty Ice. I was just telling.
Oh God, Matty Ice! I come back for that.
One of our best friends, Solo Bert Carrying. Thank you, Tanner. Thank you. We actually just were hanging out a couple weekends ago. Much appreciation. Accidentally poured an entire beer on him, so apologies.
Let's put the show back on tracks here. By the way, I know you guys may be thinking, wow, why do these guys have these cool koozies or whatever these are called? No, we're not sponsored, but Nate, the guy whose wedding we were just at, got married this weekend in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And so we are rocking our gift from him because we were both in the wedding party.
An all-time pivot to say, let's get the show back on track. I'd like to talk about this koozie that I'm holding.
A pivot to a tangential. Thanks for carrying the show. Moving on to a shocking line to me. Now, I am a team that likes the Falcons, and after that Falcons game,
this is crazy.
let me put. I'm a guy that likes the Falcons. I love Marcus Mariota. I put out a tweet, a poll. I said, "Hey, Falcons fans," and I
saw that. I could not. You were trolling, right?
I'm going to assume all 60 people that voted on this are strictly Falcons fans. But I said Marcus Mariota or Michael Vick, because Marcus Mariota is doing prime time Vick things. He's running in for touchdowns. He's throwing to Drake London. He's throwing to Kyle Pitts. But this is a awful line. This Cleveland Browns team has, if not the best, the second best O-line in the NFL, them and the Eagles neck and neck. They are road paving people. They are going to road pave this Falcons team. Nick Chubb is going to pound it in. They're going to be able to move the ball efficiently. Jacoby Brissett is moving the ball, man. So I like the Browns -1.5. Don't understand this one. This is one to bet early to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big worry here is Myles Garrett going to play? Because if Myles Garrett is going to play, then this line is absurd. It's absurd either way. See, don't fall into that trap though, man. Where one team gets you like a good win, and you bet. Like I did that when I've lost so much money on that concept of like, oh, Jacksonville, like last year or like multiple years ago, I would have just bet them for the rest of the season because they shocked me against the Chargers. And I actually had Jacksonville last week, but what I will say is, yeah, I mean, I just think Cleveland takes this. The Falcons D is going to get gashed by that running attack.
They're actually a little bit better than.
No, I know, but like we're talking about probably the best running game in the NFL. So I think that Cleveland, if they want to, has very few possessions that are very long, and they win this handedly. So yeah, I like them here too.
But man, I like Mariota. So like, I don't want to bet against Mariota in the points, but again,
this next line to me is crazy too. But
yeah. So moving on, we're on to Cardinals +2 versus Panthers -2 at home. How about you just take us right into it, Bert?
Yeah, absolutely. Carolina is, I mean, they're in there for maybe the worst team in the league as well. Their
defense is pretty good, though. Their defense is really good.
Their defense is good, but there's like Matt Rule, we know, is dead man walking. Baker Mayfield, I think, has the lowest QBR in the entire NFL right now. So he'll be out of the league next year, or maybe as a backup or something. And then Arizona, they have a bozo for a coach, but there's just too much talent on that team for them not to get this done. So I'm taking Arizona here on the road.
Yeah, man, especially for my fantasy football teams, I refuse to believe that Arizona can't win. I mean, they're being given points. This is Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals are being gifted 2 points against the Panthers at home. Like,
yes, I mean it's crazy. So
I guess that just means that the Arizona is going to get stopped, but I'll take the cheese. By the way, did you take Colts?
I love this Coach Schmo saying, "No, I know the trap, but I still want to take them or whatever."
You took just updating the spreadsheet here. You took Colts, right?
I took the Colts. Yeah.
All right, well, man. We're on a lot of green this week, aka we're on the same path. We're on.
Which is going to be good. This is going to be good for the chat because what's going to be good for the chat is the Bills are going to win. Liam lashes out a little bit when they don't, and then the agreements we get a little touchy in our group chat about our picks.
Anyways, moving on to Patriots +10 versus the Packers. Brian Hoyer is going to be running the show in New England. The question to me is, how many points is Mac Jones worth versus Brian Hoyer? Because here's my take on this game. This is the Packers. They want to play slow ball. They want to run the ball. They're not a pace-up team. So for them to win by 10 would have to mean that Hoyer is just like turning the ball over incessantly, because I don't think the Patriots are going to want to play fast either. So just because I think this game's going to be so paced down, I like New England +10. I just don't see how Green Bay, I just don't think their offense is good enough to run up the score, even if they're a much better team. So give me New England.
Here's some really sharp analysis. I am not going to pick the Packers -10 and then sit down for 3.5 hours and root for the Patriots on Sunday. Like I cannot do that. Last week was a little bit different because I was not rooting for the Ravens, but it just seemed so unfathomable to me that they were not going to cover that line, that you kind of had to take them there at -3 or whatever it was. But for a team to be at -10, I can't be a fan of that team and spend time watching that game and tell you truthfully that I would take Green Bay. And so yeah.
What do you think this line would be if Mac Jones was healthy?
I thought it would be -10.5 with him healthy. They're not I mean, they're not great this year. Mac Jones threw 3 picks
But
last
your
week.
defense is good, right? Like, I mean, I thought your defense was going to be terrible. It's not that. It's not that
Well, yeah, I mean,
level
a
of
Bill
bad,
Belichick
right?
defense isn't gonna get like pantsed, right? I mean, there might be like a game here and there that it happens, but on the whole, like they are going to be a top third of the league defense at least, probably top fourth. But it opened at -6, I think.
So around 4 points is what they're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Green Bay on the road. I was hoping they would play Bailey Zapp, but
Why not? What do you have to lose unless he's like an utter disaster?
yeah, and I mean that's a big ask to say, hey, first game of your career is going to be at Lambeau Field against Aaron Rodgers. But I do think this is what Brian Hoyer is made for, is to keep this line inside 10 points. Like this is his mission.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be like a 17-14 game. It's not going to be a.
Well, yeah, and especially because you've seen Green Bay just struggling to move the ball.
I'm not sure 4 points is correct. Agreed with like the Mac verse. Moving on, if you need any evidence that the NFL is changing, the 0-3 Raiders are 2.5-point favorites against the 2-1 Broncos. Let me repeat that. The 0-3 Raiders are 2.5-point favorites at home against the 2-1 Broncos. That is how much people hate Nathaniel Hackett. That is how much people think Russell Wilson is done. That is how much that's what's baking into this. And I think you're up first to talk about the game. So
how much do you think goes into Russell Wilson just being like one of the most insufferable guys or athletes in the world, like to betting against him?
Yeah, like people want to bet. I mean, dude,
Have you seen this runner? Did you watch that video that I sent on the chat, the runner pass?
No. What was it?
Oh my God. So he is on the sideline. They're getting they're having delay of games, whatever. They come off to the sideline and he's yelling at the defense, or not the defense, the offense. When he gets out there, he's like, hey, we got to help the D out. Run or pass, guys, run or pass. You gotta scream that from the sidelines. Run or pass. And like you can just see it and hear it in their voices. Like he's like, come on, we're not helping him. Pass. And you just hear like kind of from like what would sound like the corner of the sideline. Pass. Like just the fact that they have to put up with this guy, man. And then like he after the game, he's like, oh, this was a great game. Like the battle of 22 men on the field. Like he is just so insufferable. I mean, Vegas going to have to get right at some point. I mean, I know I've been kind of joking a little bit that they're the worst team in the league. I do believe in Josh McDaniels. I do believe in Devontae Adams. They're going to get right at some point. So yeah, I guess Vegas -2.5 here.
Hey, Joe, we appreciate you, man. A couple claps for Joe there, carrying the stream until we get more viewers, recognizing the talent we got here.
We're going to get you a shirt. We'll get you a shirt when we have
We'll get you a shirt once we have the show name locked down. Yeah, man. I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, they beat these 49ers. Is that just an indictment of Jimmy G? Or... I mean, there is so much talent on that Broncos team.
Well, yeah, and what was so interesting about that game, and we're watching the game, and we have our group chat going throughout the game, and it was clear that the 49ers were had their heads on straight, right? With the exception of him running out the back of the end zone. And Liam and I were talking. I was like, oh, in the morning, you're going to feel like such an idiot for taking Nathaniel Hackett. And then, I actually ended up going to bed because I had work early in the morning. But I opened my phone and
I was like,
11 to 10.
Stop the hooves, neigh the horse.
Yeah. And that's it was just like an all-time, what is going on in this game, man? That the 49ers weren't able to just put the nail in the coffin. And there is something to say about Denver. I do think it is specific to when they're at home because players have said playing there is the hardest thing that they have to do all year. And they're not home for this game. So, you know,
You're not giving them any credit for that win over the 49ers, or was that just more the Niners are done with Jimmy G?
No, I mean, you got to give credit. Like, it's the same.
Let's say this: Broncos playoff team or frauds right now?
Oh, frauds. I don't think they're a playoff team. But I don't think Las Vegas is a playoff team either. So
let's move on. I'll make my pick here. We'll close this out. Man, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to bet with Hackett. I don't want to bet with Russ. I don't understand how the Raiders are 0-3. It's just like my guess is that their defense and O-line is just a disaster. I mean, they have Devontae Adams, they have Waller, they didn't have Renfro, who was concussed that game. The defense is kind of nice in Denver, but
they've had some terrible luck too. They've lost close at least every game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna roll with, you know, I don't like picking the same picks, but it's how we feel, man. Give me the black curtain at home. I'm going with the Raiders, and we're on to Sunday Night Football, which is the Kansas City Chiefs -2 on the road against the 2-1 Tampa Bay Bucks, coming off a disappointing loss against the Green Bay Packers at home, where Russell Gage finally got right for the Buccaneers. He looks healthy. My guess is that Godwin's close. Mike Evans will be back for this game. If Godwin is ruled in for this game, which to me would mean that like his injury woes are way past him if they bring him back, my guess is that this line will swing towards the Bucks. Because their defense has been fine, and I know, man, these Chiefs have their offenses looked not the same. They're trying to get like Juju, MVS. They got to get this rookie Sky Moore involved a little bit more. Yes, this game is probably going to get moved because just like I am a hero for braving out this hurricane for you guys. By the way, no one in chat has said, thank you, Liam, for risking your life, giving us these winners. Guys, if I go down with this hurricane, I want to go down picking winners for the show. But so this game's probably not going to be played at Tampa Bay Stadium. Actually, no way it will be. It's going to be flooded over there. But give me the Chiefs, man, -2. Give me the Chiefs by a field goal here. How do you see this game?
Well, first of all, Tampa, are they at all-time unlucky? Or that's just a bad location to have a team. A couple of years ago, they had a week 1 bye because of a hurricane. Had to play 16 games in a row. Like, that is brutal.
Thank you, Owen.
Man, Tampa Bay is in a tough spot, like a really tough spot. Because they are kind of trying to get it together, and I believe they will. You don't have Tom Brady and not get it together at some point. But to have to go up against the Chiefs and get
Tom Brady needs an O-line though, man. Like he can't operate with. He's not like the guy to like roll out to the edge, you know.
Yeah, and they have struggled against Kansas City in the regular season, but I think I like Tampa. I think I got to take Tampa here.
Or taking Tampa in the points. Yeah, man. I mean,
these are two great teams coming off.
It ultimately is kind of a coin flip thing. Like this Chiefs team could not be as good as we thought. Like them losing against the Colts is wild, but whatever.
Well, yeah, and just like Tyreek Hill, it just shows like how great he is, that he just opens that field up, and what he's doing in Miami for them right now. I mean, like that's
Tyreek Hill is legitimately one of the best.
Yeah, and I don't want to go back to the other game, but I had thought about this when we were originally picking that line. I mean, Tyreek Hill and Eli Apple, that's the other thing. Like he is just going to burn that guy. Like Eli Apple is a corner. He's got that kind of jersey number and last name that you just always see as the guy just getting like crushed.
He's like he talks more of a game than his talent warrants too.
Yeah. They had Eli Apple and Vernon Hargreaves.
Guys, I wanted to mention that this slate of Sunday's games will be my birthday. I turned 30 October 2nd, so happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
Another shocking game to me. The 2-1 Rams against the 1-2 49ers. 49ers -2. I think this is your turn to start and finish for us, Bert. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers haven't had a normal game all year. They had the Bears
Monsoon game.
Yeah, weather game. They had the QB going out with
Trey Lance.
going out with the shattered ankle. And then last week they had that debacle on Monday night.
No game with Russ Wilson is a normal game with Russ Wilson like clapping it up on the sideline.
Yeah, runner pass. Nobody got a chance to let a play develop because the defense knew if it was run or pass so fast. Yeah, I mean, I do think that there is something to that. You know, LA beat them in the playoffs last year, but they had been like 0-6 against them previously. They do struggle in the San Francisco stadium, it seems like. But man, it seems like LA may have something figured out here. So yeah, I think you're crazy not to take LA here.
Bert takes the Rams +2. I also have no idea. I mean, I don't know, man. Like on one end, I want to bet on Deebo Samuel. I want to bet on George Kittle. I want to bet on Brandon.
This is going to be a brutal show next week.
But I just think, yeah, like Cooper Kupp every single week is automatic. Matt Stafford versus Jimmy G is enough for me right there. Full stop. That is the question. I'm rolling with the real Statty Ice, Matt Stafford, slamming the Natty Ices in college.
Frat Stafford.
Frat Stafford. So I'm going to take Rams +2. Let's bring the week 2 bets onto the screen for anyone who wants a screenshot. Let me name this week 2.
It's going to be brutal next week because this much.
We're all either going to be very happy or licking our
This
wound.
much Venn diagram means we are going to get waxed. But
so we are on the same page for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, we got 5 different games. Okay, that's actually more.
11 games versus last week. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So only 4 more games this week. We are different on Minnesota versus the Saints. Honestly, not a game I'm super confident in, but I'm rolling with it. Lions versus Seattle. I'm a little bit more confident there. Indy versus Titans. Again, not super confident there. Kansas City versus Tampa Bay. And then, 12 games. We are the same because that is the same as well. So 4 games we are different. This game, I don't know, man. Maybe Marcus Mariota does do it. But, guys, if you are betting sports, obviously shop around on some lines. If you like a team and there's injury news who could break against the team that you like, wait and bet that closer to kickoff. On the other hand, like taking last week as an example, if you like the Jaguars last week, you would want to bet them early because you weren't sure if the opposing quarterback was going to play, who was Justin Herbert, right? So think through things like that for making your bets. Always bet responsibly. I feel real good about our cards, honestly. We're either going to look like, I don't know. I get like either the Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury are way worse than we ever thought. But Bert, close us out on some of your closing thoughts for week 4 of NFL.
Yeah, a little tip from me is when you feel yourself going full tilt, we've all been there when we're in states that it's legal to gamble in. Maybe just take a minute, take it back off and say, hey, is this are these 2 explosive offenses? All right, I'm taking the over. I think that the over or under kind of reset is something that has saved me a bunch of times from like really going full tilt, and other times, I didn't have that foresight and it was a tough Tuesday. But we're looking forward to.
We got some real degens in the chat, Bert, adding some teaser bets. and some in-game betting tips.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to do that too. I mean, sometimes you want to see what a team looks like on that first drive, and you just hop on that live bet. I've done that before as well, and that's a huge,
or if the team is like the Chiefs or the Bills, and let's take the Bill. Like if Baltimore gets the ball first and Baltimore scores a touchdown, and then you can get like great odds on the Bills. That's a time to like unload on the Bills because you're like, the Bills are still better than the Ravens. A touchdown was scored on the first quarter.
Yeah.
Who cares? Take the live bet then. But don't take it on like
the year that the Chiefs had that playoff run and they went down like 24-0 against Bill O'Brien's Texans. I hammered them to win outright and like ended up making my year because like they were just that plus line was so crazy.
When you're tilting, don't chase. But at the same time, if you stop betting 10 pick parlays, look, the next one could be the winner. No,
there's a fine line between chasing and scared money don't make money.
Very fine line that we are still trying to.
We are we're in on the season. We're happy to have this show rolling. We do this every week on the phone for probably the last, I don't know, 10 years. So it's just great to kind of to get in front of the mics and do it for you guys. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. And like I said last week, if there's anything that you guys like in like a, outside the box corner, we have other interests outside of football as well.
Yeah, I mean, this was a shorter, I didn't get to do my full prep with this being the hurricane for me. But yeah, I mean, Bert and I will work in some
if you're watching Andor, we love that show right now.
I'm not caught up yet, so I need to catch
up. Yeah. Thank you, Harrison. It's a great show, but don't give any spoilers because I didn't know Liam hadn't watched it. We've been watching Rings of Power. I don't know. Game of Thrones, I think, is okay now, but I have been watching it. And then I don't know. What else do we watch? Rick and Morty. That's out right now.
What is a Wong 6-point teaser? WNG. What is that? I don't even know. Scott, fill that in, man. I got my closing idea for the slate is I feel good about a lot of the picks. I mean, I guess I could just be wrong about the caliber of some of these teams. Feel good about it. Please like and subscribe, guys. Risk my life to get this going. Did this on Tuesday. Usually the show will be every Wednesday going forward, except next week because Bert is going to be in Mexico, I guess, learning that now. Good luck with all of your bets, guys. Please please subscribe, tell your friends about the show, and good luck.
So Wong, by the way, is sorry for anybody on the chat that didn't know. He's a specific sports bettor that has some pretty good advice on games decided.
I'm sorry. Does he have a YouTube show that gets 50 views a week? I didn't think so.
Yeah, that's true. But I've heard the name before. I don't know.
Scott's got us in the chat. A Wong teaser is a 6-point teaser that involves favorites of -7.5 to -8.5 and underdogs of +1.5 +2.5. Wow. Okay, that's some next level math for us, Scott. We're just picking from our fucking chest over here. We're not quite there, but this are some of Scott's teasers are here. If you're watching the show on replay, drop your thoughts in the YouTube chats. Every every chat helps out our algorithm. I'm trying to grow the show, guys.
Scott is the Michael Scott meme of the take the Wong teaser. Scott Brown.
I'm sure it's well known.
Quoted Scott. And then requotes Stanford Wong.
We're just not the most professional process, but all right, guys, have a great week. We're going to end the broadcast there. See ya next Wednesday for week 5. Peace.
Peace out.